Committee meeting to order. Art, would you lead us in a pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by sending a copy of the notice along with the agenda of this meeting to the Atlantic City Press, Atlantic County Record, Record Journal, and current newspaper stating this meeting would take place at 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, January 19th, 2016, the municipal building, Mays Landing, New Jersey. Ms. Gatto?
Here.
Mr. Gishard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mr. Schenker?
Here.
Mayor Silva?
Here. Can we take a moment of silence for private reflection? Okay, first item, there's no adjournment for executive session, no confirmation, addition or deletion of late items for consideration tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any early public comment, Mike? Okay. Number 5, appointment of professionals for the year 2016 or until a successor is appointed. Auditor?
I move to appoint Ford Scott Associates, Leon Costello.
Second.
The motion is second. Any questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Next, the bond council.
Make a motion to appoint Joel Fleischman of Fleischman Daniels Law Offices.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Next, traffic engineer.
I move to appoint Kevin Dixon from Dixon Associates.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Number 6, authorize the administrator to prepare formal, fair, and open professional services contracts for appointees for 2016 or until a successor is appointed, and authorize the mayor and township clerk to execute the same. Can I take them all together, Bob? One at a time. Auditor?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Next, bond council.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Traffic engineer.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. Number 7, discussions. Formal action may be taken. A, tax exemption abatement for the Historic Preservation District. Bob
No, I think it's Mike.
and Mike?
This is, we took formal action adopting the plan. Excuse me. The next thing is going to be the development of an ordinance, and I would have to be authorized to do so. The ordinance would be consistent with the plan. Evan Laboff has been assigned that in my law firm, and he's been working with Phil and others with respect to the development of that ordinance.
So this would be a very similar process to what we did to enable the pilot in the industrial park that is now in existence. We're kind of mirroring that in the historic district and following that same process.
Precisely.
Okay.
So if you wish to proceed consistent with the plan, the next step is to develop an ordinance, which my office will draft consistent with the help of Phil.
We need authorization for
I
that.
do.
And you need guidance?
One thing we discussed when we met internally was whether or not you wanted the ordinance to be as broad as possible, giving you as much latitude as possible to provide abatements and exemptions, or whether you wanted to narrow it down.
No, I think we should make it as broad as possible to encourage as many people that live in that area, and both in the business and the residential, to do what's necessary to bring it to where it should be.
And to encompass the entire historic district.
Is there a downside for doing that?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm in favor of the more broad.
I think it would encourage much more updating of everything too, Rodney. I think it would enhance the neighborhood. I think if you look up and down some of the streets in here, there's some projects that had been started and have been stopped for years. This may be the catalyst alone to get them going again, so I think it makes the most sense.
Just like the ordinance that was developed in the industrial park, this thing is going to be a living, breathing document that's going to need to be amended, molded, and changed over time. There's a lot of different nuances here because you're dealing with historical structures. And it has to be consistent with the Historic Preservation Commission.
Right.
So don't be surprised if, like the pilot program in the park, this comes back to be molded.
Okay?
Make a motion to authorize the solicitor
Second.
draft?
Motion is second. Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. Next, B, participation in the Atlantic County vacant foreclosed home registry system. Is this something, Phil, that, just fill everyone in on it so the public understands?
Sure. Back in September, the Atlantic County Improvement Authority had an outreach session to gauge and to provide information to municipalities about a registration program. What they've done is they've gone and solicited proposals and entered a shared service, or entered a contract with a corporation known as Community Champions that's in the business of registering and working with municipalities to follow through with vacant and foreclosed properties. The county authorities set up a shared service program so that all the municipalities in the county, or those that wish to participate, can take advantage and work with community registration or community champions to get this done. Basically, the vendor will contact the mortgage companies, the banks, whoever holds the title to a foreclosed or abandoned or vacant property, the financial houses, advise them of the need to register in the municipality, and then will also provide us with a database showing who owns the property, who the contact person is, who all the responsible parties are.
Great.
And if we come up with violations, right now our property maintenance guys, first off, we've got to track down all this information, so right there's savings in time and effort on our part. Secondly, when we send out our violation notices, not only would we send them out certified mail as required by our statute, but we can also, through Community Champions, email it to them, and it gets there that much quicker. And they've indicated they've established a working relationship with these financial institutions and banks that, first off, they say they get paid attention to. Secondly, they know the people there, so that if they see that there's a property on 13th Street here where we send out a notice of violation, it's been sent to the company, it's, a week later, have you guys done, they'll call them up, have you done anything with this property yet? So they'll be an advocate on our part for that. Probably from the information they gave us, it looks like about approximately 2/3 of the counties in the state have a registration system in progress. Been very successful in doing it. I know Gloucester County has been successful in registering properties and getting them maintained to a minimum level, basically to keep them from becoming too much of an eyesore, becoming an eyesore, or falling into such disrepair that ultimately they're valueless. And the need for it is pretty apparent. One of the first handouts in the package that you have is, as of the middle of December, they tracked down that in Atlantic County alone, there were 7,587 active foreclosures. Hamilton Township was number 4 on the list with almost 900. So even if this is off by 50%, there's still a lot of units out there that are in the foreclosure process.
Yeah, I think the one line in the attachment we have from the Improvement Authority, it says, provides code enforcement officials with a tool to combat properties in foreclosure that have become problems due to lack of property maintenance. I think right there, that kind of sums up the value of it.
I agree.
Yeah,
The two questions I have, though. One, you mentioned that, I think you said 2/3 of the counties have some kind of
Roughly, yes.
registration process. This one is a vendor-operated registration process. Is that the kind that the 2/3 have?
A lot of them are.
Okay.
I know that very early on, I think 2 or 3 years ago, actually, they were done through a vendor also, but.
All right, I just
no,
wondered.
individual communities would contract with a vendor rather than through, like, the county.
Through the county,
Authority.
And I assume this will save us some money. Is that not correct? In having to follow up on these and having to, or will it?
it should.
It should help do two things. One, again, get issues taken care of sooner rather than later. Two, hopefully by them knowing that, we're paying attention, they will have their contractors come out and maintain the property on a more regular basis so that we don't have to send out the violation notices, et cetera.
Right, and the other item was this, we haven't mentioned that, but this is funded. I forgot how many hundreds per house that the vendor gets, but the funding is made available through, is it a state or county
Actually, the funding
registration?
for this would be through the
These numbers are free.
financial house, the registrant would pay a registration fee, which would get divided up. As indicated in the shared service agreement, the first $100 would go to community champions, the second 100 would come to the municipality. Anything between $200 and $300 would go to the Improvement Authority as a program administrator. And then if we would choose to go over $300, that would come to the municipality.
So there is no cost to the municipality for this
There
program?
would be no cost to
And
the municipality.
and possible savings?
Correct.
It's a moneymaker.
It's not intended to be a moneymaker, but it's clearly it's hopefully
revenue
one of
generator.
those immediate moneymakers that we're going to get less of over time because
Right.
there are not going to be as many.
Right, it's not money we want to count on, but it's not revenue neutral. It's a
What's that?
revenue generator.
Correct.
Well, the other
It could be available for property maintenance purposes.
Exactly.
If we do have to go out and do something, at least there's a source of funding, and then when we have to lien the property, at least it's not coming out of
Taxpayer
regular-
dollars.
Well, look how long, Phil, we've been at it. The financial institutions have been extremely lethargic in addressing their responsibilities. I mean, look at some of those places in Chancellor Place. How long you been after them? Years, right?
Yes, sir.
And looking at the numbers here, it's an eye-opener, and obviously, we've got to realize that the numbers will probably increase as time gets on.
That's correct. If the governing body chooses to participate in the program, obviously we need a resolution authorizing the memorandum of agreement. Also, we need authorization for Bob's office for us to work together to finish drafting it and crafting the ordinance for adoption.
Yeah, my biggest question was, what would compel somebody to step up and write a $300 check just for the heck of it? But apparently, there's a state law that says you got to do it, or else there's a hefty fine.
If the municipality adopts the legislation saying you got to do it,
Right.
they got to do it, yes.
All right. I'll make a motion to sign the shared service agreement and participate in the program.
I'll second it.
The motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita, let's get a roll call.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva? All yes and carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Very good.
Thanks.
Okay, item 7C. Award the contract for snow plowing services as needed to Warner's Construction at the hourly rate listed.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
It's funny, we're talking about snow, and a week ago, we had such warm temperatures, huh?
Yeah.
I think all of us have been surprised. Okay, 7D, reject all bids for Hamilton Township reforestation plan as recommended by Robert J. Smith of Remington and Vernick Engineers, and authorize re-advertisement.
I can address this if you like. Mr.
Please.
The bid documents, like most public bid documents, require a number of things. And some of the requirements are non-waivable requirements. In this particular case, the bid document required a bid bond as well as a consent to surety. The bid bond is there to protect the municipality that in the event you declare the low bidder to be the apparent low and responsible and you award the contract, and for whatever reason the contractor decides not to sign the contract, the bid bond is there to provide compensation to the community for the cost of rebidding. It's a percentage up to $20,000. The consent of surety is something entirely different. It is coming from a bonding company. It's licensed to do business in New Jersey and is otherwise qualified, saying that if the town awards this contract to this contractor, we will consent as the surety to the issuance of a performance bond. That document was not included in the bid package, and I'm telling you, it is a non-waivable defect. So you have no alternative but to declare this bid void, and if you choose, to rebid it.
Okay,
It's your pleasure.
make a motion to reject.
Second.
Motion and questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishar?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and done.
Thank you. Okay, item 8, public hearing on ordinances. A, 1805, 2016, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. Mike?
Yes, this ordinance will allow us to go over well, it's actually 0 this year, the increase, but then you can do 2%. This will allow us to go as high as, I think, 3.5, if we need to.
If needed, is what you're saying.
And
Okay.
we've done this for the last several years to build up Cat Bank. Yeah. Okay, it's a public hearing.
What's your pleasure?
It's a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to move the ordinance.
Oh,
I'll
it's a
second
public
it.
hearing, hold on, yeah. It's a public, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to speak?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
The motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishar?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes.
B, 1806-2016, contiguous owner land sale ordinance for Block 100, Blocks 23, 24, and 25, 3 acres on Market Street, RD4 zoning, minimum bid $1,500. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to speak on it?
Move to close public portion.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishar?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Okay, item C, 1807-2016, contiguous owner land sale, ordinance for Block 41, Lot 5, .76 acre on Black Horse Pike, HC zoning, minimum bid $1,500. This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public wish to speak on it?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
Second, motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to adopt 18C.
Second.
8C.
I have a motion is second. Any questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor
Yes.
Silva? All yes and adopted.
Thank you. Number 9, introduction of ordinances. A, 1808-2016, ordinance amending Exhibit A, Section 1, Article 2 of Chapter 66, providing for the maximum number of employees, changing the maximum hourly rate of part-time as needed employees. Michael?
Mr. Mayor, the 2% increase causes these particular employees to go above the cap that's in the salary ordinance, so this reconciles the two ordinances. It raises the hourly rate by $1,
And it pulls everybody into,
so they can get the 2% increase.
okay. Anyone else?
Move to introduce.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Shanker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, the ordinance is introduced. Public hearing is set for February 1st. It'll be published in this Friday's edition of the Press of Atlantic City.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve 10A, B, D through H. So I'm pulling out C.
I'll second it. The motion is second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good.
Now I'll make a motion for C so that John can abstain from it.
Yes. Authorize a request from Mays Landing Merchants Association to waive the Public Works equipment fee of $521.31 from the 2015 Halloween parade.
I already made the motion.
I'll second it. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. Okay.
Also, just want to highlight letter E that we just passed was a resolution establishing the Municipal Drug Alliance Program budget. And I understand that Lisa, the young lady who stepped up at a previous meeting, I think it's been about a month or two ago, to kind of take on the Municipal Alliance, worked with Sue and put that budget together. And I hear you both did a wonderful job. So thank you. And I think we're going to be
Making some
making
appointments.
some appointments, and I understand that the room was full in the meeting that you had. So Lisa, you should be commended for being able to wrangle some new volunteers. I looked at the names, they're not the usual suspects, which is nice. So I think it's great that you're getting people involved, and that you've really helped us to be able to save those funds and continue to help the families in our town. So I just want to thank you and thank Sue for the work that you've done to help support that group. So thank
Here,
you.
here.
All right, thanks a
Thank
lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yes, he did.
Yes, I did.
Item 11, Personnel. Historic Preservation Commission appointment tabled January the 4th, 2016. Number 1, to fill a 2-year unexpired alternate 1 term of Arlene Bosch, expiring December 31st, 2017.
I'll make a motion to appoint Jenny Hare.
For historic. Didn't you come?
No.
Okay, all right. All right, second.
I'm sorry.
Right.
We're on the
The Historic Preservation.
I'll
Yeah,
make a motion to appoint Heather Tomasello.
second.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
The appointment to fill an unexpired 4-year Class 4 Planning Board term of Richard Cheek ending,
Whoa.
2.
Bill, 1 year,
one
alternate
year.
number 2.
oh yeah, 2, I'm sorry, jumping ahead. Thank you.
Yep.
To fill a 1-year alternate number 2 term vacancy expiring December 31st, 2016. That's for the Historic Preservation Commission.
I'll make a motion to appoint Roberta Bonney.
Second.
A motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thanks to those 2 ladies for stepping up to do that work.
They're smiling.
Yeah.
B, appointment to fill an unexpired 4-year Class 4 Planning Board term of Richard Cheek ending 12/31/2016.
Make a motion to move Dave Adams there. I'm sorry, appoint Dave Adams there.
I'll second. Second. Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
C, appointment to fill an unexpired 5-year Municipal Utilities Authority alternate 1 term at Jane Sachinelli ending February 1st, 2017.
Now I'll make a motion to appoint alternate 1 Jenny Hare.
So, second that.
A motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Okay,
It's deleted.
D was removed. E, appointment of the Municipal Alliance Committee members for 1 year, July 1st, 2016 through 2017. I can read off all the names. I have them here. You got your-
Got it right here.
Oh, thank you, sir. Okay, Lisa Catalano, the chair, Paul Sorrentino, and thank you, Jen Hota, Michael Forrest, Juliana Morales, Karen Waltman, Kathy Varello, Matt Giuliano, Monique Cohn, Tiffany Turney, Michael Braxton, and Lisa Hearn. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva? All
Yes.
yes and carried.
Now you got your committee. And your eagerness, I think they pointed out before, on everyone involved is something to be commended, and I wish you well with your work this year. Thank you very
Good luck.
much.
Thank you.
F, authorize advertisement for regular part-time electrical subcode inspector to work on an as-needed basis.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
11G, appointment to fill an unexpired 5-year Municipal Utilities Authority alternate 2 ending February 1, 2018.
Make a motion for Bruce Dry.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Approvals, minutes, reorganization meeting, January 4th, 2016.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. B, payroll and bills totaling $2,140,883.41.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions or comments? Rita?
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Schenker?
Yes.
Mayor Silva?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Reports. Michael?
Mr. Mayor, just one thing I'd like to announce, that the rabies clinic that was scheduled for this Saturday, the 23rd, has been moved till the following Saturday, the 30th.
Will you post that out at the,
Yeah, they sent a nixel out on it
did they?
today, too.
Did they?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Mr. Solicitor? Mr. Engineer?
Thank you. I just have 3 items to report, Mayor and committee. My first item is the committee received a letter on January 8th from the Hamilton Township School Board asking for consideration of restricting left-hand turns out at the William Davies School. This is Dennis Foreman Drive at the intersection of Route 40. I went there one morning last week to observe, and the principal, Steve Santilli, was doing the exact same thing that I had intended to do, and we both kind of watched the traffic patterns. He's indicated to me with the cold weather recently, parents have a tendency to bring their children to school during cold weather rather than let them wait for the bus. So the traffic issues have increased tremendously over this cold weather. He also, and I observed that some of their internal turning movements, they know they have a problem, and they're sort of causing an impact to this intersection of Dennis Foreman Drive. So what Steve Santelli has indicated to me is their transportation department is going to get back to me. We'll take another close look at it maybe next week, and then I'll be able to come back with a recommendation. The recommendation I make today might be different because they're going to be changing some.
Now, that would
traffic
only be
patterns.
restricted during certain hours?
Between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. is what they're asking.
And what about when school lets out?
He wasn't sure because he hasn't observed that period of time yet either. He suspects there's a problem there, but
No.
when I come back with a recommendation,
Will you touch base with the police department too, with the traffic officer?
I will do so.
Okay.
And-
Chief, would you?
Is this something that we would bring the traffic engineer in for?
You know,
Or,
I said
Yeah,
tonight,
that was my
you
question.
appointed Kevin Dixon. He's probably better qualified than myself for that. I think it's a good idea. So
okay,
if it's okay with committee, I'd like to call Kevin, turn it over to him, tell him what knowledge I have, and let him take it from
I
there.
would suggest that as a traffic engineer, yeah.
He's very good. I've known him a long time, so.
he is. Very-
Doesn't that require county approval also, or for
No,
trains like that?
that's a
No?
state highway.
State highway and a municipal road, so it would be.
So it requires state approval. So,
Well, if we take action on Dennis
Chief?
Foreman, it would be our decision.
Good. I think after the recommendation comes, as quick as we can get it done would be appreciated. Okay?
The second item I have, Mayor, is back in the fall, I was awarded a contract to do the replacement of a 30-inch drainage pipe on Old Egg Harbor Road by Cedarcroft Drive. I've prepared the plans, the specifications, had conversations with NJDEP.
That application and plans is ready to be submitted up to NJDEP for a flood hazard control permit and a freshwater wetlands permit. They tell me they'll act on that permit pretty quickly. And then once we receive the permit from DEP, we can put that out to bid in the spring when the asphalt plants are opened up. So I have that application, I'll turn it over to Mike. I spoke to Mike about it, where we'll need an application fee and a signature on the LERP form.
Good.
The third item I have is I had a very good meeting with Bob Smith this morning. It was a transition meeting. Mike Jacobs was there. Mr. Smith has had a lot of years of involvement with the township, a 7-page list of projects. We basically went through every project to decide, bring me up to speed, to see what the most cost-effective and efficient way to complete the projects. We pretty much agreed that any of the projects that are very close to completion, Bob Smith will finish. I want to be cost-effective, I want to be efficient, and it was an excellent meeting. I've known Bob a long time. We will have a seamless transition between him and I, and we'll continue to communications, and any projects, letters, plans he has in his office, I'm going to go to his office, he's going to loan them to me, I'll copy everything at my own expense, and I'll be up and running. If Michael or the committee has any suggestions on what the highest priorities are, please let me know. I'm going to work through everything as quick as I can. There seems to be some projects that have been around for a very long time. I'm going to do my best to clean everything up that I have in front of me. And it was an excellent meeting, and just looking forward to helping out here.
Well, you know, our priority from day one has always been basins. You know, and we would keep an eye on them, and I know you did a great job over at the mall with the work that you did there. We still have a lot of basins in the township that we have to keep an eye on, because especially now that we're having a lot of rainfall, it could present some problems for traffic flow and flooding, and we'd like to try to stay ahead of that also.
I will make that my priority.
Thank you.
And we care about roads, too.
I was going to say basins, bumps, and blight.
Yeah.
Well, that's what causes it, the water,
Those
right?
are our Bs.
Huh? That's what causes it, right?
And I just want to thank you for your cooperation on this transition.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would just say, as we are coming up to speed with you here, we got into a little bit more of an habit with Bob, where he would send us his report. If we had any questions, we would ask. I would just say, probably in the beginning months here, probably report more vocally until we all, I think, get to a comfortable place. Not that you're an uncomfortable person, Steve, but
I would like that a lot, too.
yeah, I would say for now we should probably have verbal reports, and until we get to a place where we feel like we can go to that just question phase. So
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
thanks.
Township Committee, John?
Yeah, I'd just like to once again shout out to the Merchants Association for some great work that they did. As you know, they try to put the proceeds of what they do in the community of children that won the Oak Crest Marching Ambassadors, who won the championships this year, were denied their jackets because of a little snafu at the board level. The Merchants Association stepped up and donated a check for $2,300 to buy these children their well-deserved varsity jackets. It was a great move, and I want to thank the Merchants Association on that behalf. Also today, I understand, Arlene, there was a donation made at the Atlantic Community College for some scholarships totaling over $3,000 to some underprivileged students who could use those funds to continue their education. That's a great thing. If there's anything you need to add on that, you can, but I think I kind of good. Okay. Great.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's great.
Yes.
Thank you for.
Thank you, John. Rodney?
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention, one of the attendees that you invited to the last Merchants Association meeting commented on how professional the meeting was and how positive and constructive, and I thought it was very, very positive comment. So that invitation helped spread your goodwill. I'd just like to point out a couple of things. One, maybe some of you read in the paper where a shuttle has finally been started between Hamilton and in Buena Vista. It's a 24-mile shuttle. It involves, I don't know, something like 13 stops, which makes connections with the railroads and buses. And unfortunately, things like this take a long time, but eventually they do happen. So we do have a Citizens Advisory Committee. I know some of you may have some transportation requirements. It takes a lot of perseverance, but eventually these things can get done. I know we have a request right now, and I guess it's probably been 10 months or something like that for a bus stop. And I don't know that we've gotten any updates from the state.
Wrote a note to check it.
All right, very good. So it does take a lot of time. Just one quick one. I think all of us here got a notification from the Atlanta County Executive Office. It says, on behalf of the Atlanta County Library System, you're invited to Mays Landing Library Branch on Wednesday, February 17th, where we will introduce and demonstrate a new learning center for those with vision impairments, provided by the New Jersey Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. So some of you, it may be something to keep in mind. And there is a dinner meeting of the South Jersey Professional Society Wednesday, and it's tomorrow. And there will be a presentation by the head, by Mr. Shears, the head of the Atlantic Research Technology Park. I'm planning to attend, and I know a number of other people are, to get an update on where that stands. And certainly, if there's anything exciting, we'll certainly let everybody know. But I think that's about all I have.
Thank you.
Oh, just one other quick one. We had a meeting of the Recreation Committee, myself and Amy and the administrator and Ingrid. And I thought we made some good progress. We went over a list that Ingrid had prepared a while back, which is a result of previous efforts and more recent meetings with the recreation folks. And it just outlines the things that need to be done and sort of prioritizes them. We are going to be setting up a meeting, and perhaps some announcements have already been made, but it'll be in the near future with the recreation folks to go over this and see where we go from here. All right, thank you.
So let us know when we're starting to look at the budget.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Art?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank our administrator, Mike Jacobs. Last Friday, he was kind enough to take me on the grand tour of Town Hall and introduce me to a lot of fine people that make this township work. And then we took the long trip across the hallway here to the police department. And, again, a lot of fine people there, including our leader. And
Chief of Chiefs.
the Chief of Chiefs, yes. And we took some time, stopped at the dispatch office, and that is really I know I heard you guys talk about it a lot, about how well state-of-the-art it is and how well it is run. And, maybe more impressive than the equipment that's in that room is the passion of the people that work there. They are just, when I say they're into their jobs, it's an amazing to talk to them and hear them, and they really care about the people. And you feel a little bit better if you visit that room about what goes on. They know everything. There isn't anything that moves in this town that they don't know about, and it is quite an operation. And so thank you for that, and I look forward to some other tours we have planned in the future. So thank you. Roger, thanks.
Thank you, Art.
Did he buy you lunch?
No, we have time for that. Maybe next time.
Amy?
Yeah, just to follow up on Rodney's comments with regard to recreation, we kind of are taking what Ingrid presented and going to put it into a little bit more of a, I think, 4 to 5-year plan with some guesstimates in terms of the price on the items, with the intent, Mayor, of handing it to the Finance Committee to say, here's what we're looking at from a cost perspective over the next 5 years for recreation investments, where we think they should go, based on that priority list that Rodney mentioned, that Ingrid did. And she did a really great job. She took the fruits of the 2008 rec study that we did. She made sure to note what from that study had been completed, what hadn't been completed, and also, as Rodney mentioned, what has been discussed in the more recent years. So she was very well prepared, and it was a good plan, it was a good meeting. So yeah, we will be participating in the annual meeting with the rec organizations in the next week or two, I think it's going to be. So that was that. I think from a safety perspective, number one, I saw, Chief, that you've been kind of warning the applicants for our police applicants. I guess they were supposed to come in for some testing this weekend. So for those applicants out there, just keep watching our social media, our webpage, that kind of thing, to let you know if that will be moving forward or not. And I also see that we did get the vehicle replacement schedule from the fire departments. This was something that we had asked them at an ESAB meeting last year to complete over the second half of the year, to kind of give us a new long-range plan for replacement, because we had exhausted most of the replacement schedule we had identified in the 2008 fire study we had completed. So I think, Mayor, you and I will be sitting down, taking a look at that, and also kind of scheduling that out as well. I asked Mike for a little bit more data to go along with it, so we can take a look at that in more depth. And the other thing I just wanted to mention, John, because you brought up the Oakcrest Marching Ambassadors, fellow band nerds, we will unite, and I was a band nerd, so I can say that. They are planning an alumni concert this year, the weekend of September 9th, 10th, 11th. It'll be a big weekend full of alumni events and reunion events, so there is an initial meeting on that this Thursday, January 21st at 7 p.m. in the band room at Oakcrest High School. There's also a Facebook group where they're posting all kinds of information. I believe a practice schedule will go up there too. So any Oakcrest Marching Ambassador alumni who wants to get involved in the reunion or stay informed, definitely look out for that group and get involved with that. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Well, we're looking forward to a full year this year. We talked about early on when we had our comments at reorg that obviously the biggest thing that faces our community is to be able to sustain it. And obviously the item that makes that happen is when we look at the budget. And what makes it more difficult is when we collect taxes, we only get 30 cents out of every dollar that goes to the municipality. And you try to make that go a long way in a municipality this side and address the needs, not the wants. And obviously, this year is going to be a year of public safety and other issues, and we've always looked at it that way because we spend the largest part of our dollar on public safety. Approximately 60% of that 30 cents goes to public safety. The rest is divided from public works, environmental, and administration. I think your comments about recreation are well taken. There's a lot that we have put into it, and there's a lot more that has to be put into it. And we're going to try to address everything. I know our finance people have been working very hard. I know Dorothy's put some long hours in here this weekend, and hopefully when we sit down with the numbers this year, we'll be able to address many of those issues. And as serious as the budget is, there's one I'd like to talk to you about tonight that has moved me. I think we all understand that the backbone of our community is our volunteers. I think you demonstrated that with the Merchants Association. You've demonstrated it in other areas that workable. But we also have 5 fire departments in this community that they all have their own firehouse. We house in there our fire equipment. We keep them updated on all the necessary gear they need to fight fires. But there's one ingredient that is getting to be an issue that's of paramount concern in the township, is volunteers. And I would send out to everyone in the community that if you know anybody who may be interested, or if you can coax somebody, it's a great place to volunteer. It's not of a catastrophic type of concern now, but it's one that the fire chiefs has spoke to me about, and they would like to start addressing it in great detail now to see if we can start getting more volunteers. Obviously, they do a phenomenal job. When you look at the number of calls that they answer every year, and they're there to protect the lives and property of all our residents, I think that we owe them a debt of gratitude. And I know all of us will do our very best to see how many people we could try to incentivize to try to volunteer for our departments. With that, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the public wish to speak? Arlene?
I'm speaking on behalf of the Mays Landing Merchants. Our 2016 calendar of events.
Oh, great.
Hot off the press. I'd like to hand them out to everybody. Thanks to the Stockton University Graphic Arts Department who worked with me on this. They put it together for me.
Great.
Great. The one last year was phenomenal also. Really, it is. It's a nice piece of art.
Is it new and better, or?
Got 5. Great.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arlene.
Thank you, Arlene. Anyone else in the public wish to speak?
Move to close the public portion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Boy,